Ted has chosen to make this really personal and call people dishonest in leadership and call them names, which really goes against the decorum and also against the rules of the Senate. And as a consequence, he can't get anything done legislatively. He's pretty much done for and stifled. And it's really because of personal relationships or lack of personal relationships, and it is a problem.
Oh, yeah. Nothing like a good old-fashioned slinging of words and mud when it comes to politics. Nothing beats a pair of elected officials spitting and wheezing at each other and then waiting for the inevitable lemmings who follow in their footsteps. And thanks to Rand Paul and Ted Cruz, we got a good one brewing in Washington. Lace up the gloves, get into the ring. The political animal prepares to take a few bites out of the spoken word. Welcome back to the Hardline, veteran Republican strategist Ryan Wiggins and David French from the National Review Online. Want to thank you both for being with us. David, I'm going to go ahead and start with you on this one. It's just too good. I mean, this is perfect what we need right now. Here we have Rand Paul calling Ted Cruz a hack. And this is while Rand Paul's campaign is barely on oxygen at this point. Is this just a last-ditch attempt by Rand Paul to be relevant?
Well, I mean, this is kind of Rand Paul's communication style. I mean, if you followed his career for a long time, he pretty much says what he thinks about politicians. So I think this is Rand Paul being Rand Paul. He's picked fights with other Republicans on numerous occasions, as has Ted Cruz. You've got two extremely strong-willed senators, both of them in a presidential race. I don't think we should expect anything less than this.
All right, Ryan, I'm going to throw it to you then on this because the same thing comes to mind. Because while we have Rand Paul going after Ted Cruz, here we've got people talking about the death watch for his POTUS campaign at this time. Do you think that this is just maybe a last-ditch attempt for him to get back into things and maybe try to get people to listen to him again?
You know, maybe so, but I think that it's the same problem for Ted Cruz. I think that he is doing what Ted Cruz does, and that is throwing spaghetti at walls and seeing if it will stick. I think that he would have a better chance with any kind of legislation or any stunt like what he's pulling right now if he had a plan. And I think that's what the American people are most fed up with in Washington, is that the Republicans and the Democrats, for that matter, right now are more in a shoot, point, aim posture. And it doesn't work. I think that this is typical of Cruz. He's throwing stuff out there and he's throwing out problems, so he isn't offering any solution.
But here's the other thing, Ryan. When you say throwing spaghetti at walls, and you're right, a lot of people would agree with you, but there are a lot of people in this country who say that you're all wrong here. Ted Cruz is the only guy who takes things on, goes nose to nose with it, and says what the rest of us want to say. So, Ryan, how do we separate the two here?
Well, I would say this. There's already a Donald Trump in the race, and that's unfortunate. I think that Cruz is just a mini Donald Trump. He's a bully. He's preying on ignorance. He lacks decorum, and the truth is, I'm not sure he's campaigning for president anymore. I think that he is in a position right now where he is campaigning to be Trump's vice president if Trump gets the nomination.
Oh, wait a minute, David. I got to let you in on this one because we've heard this before, but never in those words. Ryan spit out what a lot of people have been talking right now, saying that Ted Cruz is a bully, that he's just ignorant, and all he wants is to be vice president. Your response would be?
Oh, I think he wants to be president of the United States, and I think he's positioning himself and very intentionally positioning himself to get the Trump supporters that he believes will be on the table if and when Trump's campaign falters. I mean, there's already evidence that we've reached peak Trump at this point. He's stalled in the polls. He's down in some polls. And so, you know, it's interesting to me that Ted Cruz earlier in this race says, well, I'm not going to criticize Donald Trump because I don't want to criticize fellow Republicans, which it's hard to say that without laughing because he has absolutely eviscerated fellow Republicans.
Well, let me ask you this, though, David. Let me interrupt you here because if we look at Rand Paul, he was once at 9%. Now he's at 2.7%. Is it just because of Donald Trump, or were there other mistakes that he made just to, frankly, disappear?
You know, honestly, I think ISIS has destroyed the Rand Paul campaign.
How so?
So Rand Paul really began to gain an enormous amount of prominence nationally in the NSA debate, the domestic spying debate. When ISIS emerged and became public enemy #1, swept through parts of Iraq, has a nation-state-sized jihadist army that's inspiring lone wolf terrorism around the world, people's ideas about that began to change a little bit. And the NSA was not really on people's minds, except that I hope they're protecting us.
Okay.
And so it's a tough issue for Rand Paul.
I got to stop you there. I got one more quick thing, a minute to go. Here's Bill Clinton, who now is on the campaign trail defending his wife, Hillary. Listen up.
The other party doesn't want to run against her, and if they do, they'd like her as mangled up as possible. And they know that if they leak things and say things, that is catnip to the people who get bored talking about what's your position on student loan relief.
Ryan, I only got 30 seconds left. Quick to you. Is Bill Clinton the answer? Can he save Hillary's campaign, bring it back up?
There is no answer for Hillary Clinton. She is doing a great job of destroying herself right now. I don't think that Bill helps that case at all. There's something that, consultants will say and strategists will say, and that is when you are defending yourself, you're already losing. And it sounds to me like he's already defending and making excuses for his wife.
10 seconds to you, David. Savior or just another guy?
I think he's beginning to lose a bit of his magic. And he's fundamentally wrong. I think the Republicans rather face Hillary Clinton than, say, Joe Biden.
I'm getting to think at this point that might not be a bad idea from everybody on the GOP side. David French, Ryan Wiggins, always a pleasure to have you both on the show. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll do it again soon. All right, let's go ahead and talk about candidates now, which we have been doing, of course. So we have to ask you, has this changed? Who's your choice now for the GOP's 2016 nominee? Go to newsmaxpolls.com and tell us. Now, there is one man who is a possible nominee, of course, and that is Dr. Ben Carson, who, quite frankly, is sneaking up behind Donald Trump. Last poll I saw, I think Donald Trump only had a 1-point lead over Dr. Carson. Want to learn more about the man? Do this. Here's our free offer for his book, One Nation. Call or go online. Call 800-485-4350 or go to newsmax.com/Ben. Learn more about the man, learn more about his message, and then we'll talk about it here. Stay with us. The fastest 60 minutes of news, The Hard Line, continues right after this.